Hey, everybody in YouTube land. This is Menor speaking. My name is Alex, and Happy New Year! Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful New Year. I am having a very chill one. I'm like 4 cups of coffees deep today, and it's only 1:35 in the afternoon. So was wired, and now I'm tired. Okay, now I'm wired and tired actually at the same time. It's a weird feeling, but that's the reading technical manuals and doing my day job kind of groove, right? I'm mentally active, but my body is like still and tired. Hey, it works for me. Okay, don't judge. Don't judge. Unless it's really unhealthy, right? Unless you think that's really unhealthy, then please do let me know in the comments. And that's the topic of this video. Actually, is how our pride, like a lack of humility, leads to stagnation. Okay, how does pride and lack of humility lead to stagnation? The short answer is that when you have the attitude of no one can tell me nothing, right, which I've heard many times, you will not hear the messages you need to hear. Okay, like when my ancestors abandoned their sort of pagan ways of ancestor worship and then embraced Christianity, that's a lot of pride that has to go away to change your religion and really, really believe it, right? But you have to see there's something better, right? There's a better vision there. And maybe we're just not very good at giving other people advice. Like we're not very good at telling people how to live better. Like we'll tell them to lose weight, right? Where instead of emphasizing the fact that you'll feel better, right? Like we had a big vision, something that we were striving for when we converted to Christianity. And every Christian that you meet is a convert, okay? Everybody at some point has to decide, am I me or am I a Christian? Same thing for everything, right? Like you get some predilections, I suppose, genetically. You get raised a certain way, but at some point there's a decision. Sometimes you become an adult and you have to decide who you are. And it takes a lot of humility to decide different than what you were raised with, okay? Like our ability to exercise our free will actually stems in large part from humility. And if you are overly proud and you do not want to change and you don't want to hear anybody else's opinion, you'll be stuck forever. Now, I remember this tweet from Vivek Ramaswamy. You can see my previous live stream where I actually go over that. I think about halfway into the live stream, I talk about that tweet because I showed that tweet to my wife. I read that tweet several times, and people were very offended by it, right? People were very offended by this tweet, and I didn't understand because essentially what he was saying is that the West has a culture of mediocrity. Like we like being entertained more than we like self-improvement, which is I think, a fairly true statement. Now, if there's some debate of whether or not that's true or not, I think we can have that. But I think everyone can agree that we have seen a slippage from what we were. Like we have a greatest generation that was a few generations ago. And that goes for every Western culture, right? And if we want our best days to be ahead of us and not just behind us, you might have to hear a harsh truth. Maybe that truth wasn't true to you, but something in there, somewhere in there, in that message or in other messages has got to be true. We have to be able to listen to when other people, even when they insult us, when it really stings, when the insult really stings, that's because there's a little bit of truth. And truth is poison to the proud soul, right? Truth is poison to the proud soul. But if you can soften your heart and be open to the humiliation, that's what humility is, right? Humiliation is the process of undergoing humility. That is going to soften you up so that you can actually take that advice, so you can grow. Every hero's journey is about change, fundamentally. Every hero's journey is about finding the flaws in yourself, shoring those up and becoming a better self so you can overcome challenges that you couldn't overcome before, right? That is what humility gets you. And I like having pride in my country. I like having pride in my heritage, but I know that pride is borrowed. It's other people that have done that. And I want to aspire to be part of what made both my family and my country so great. And I'm never going to be able to get to that height if I'm not going to listen to anybody's advice, right? Like when I was, I wish I had a picture of it. I used to be really fat. Okay. Now I'm just normal fat. Now I'm just normally fat. I have probably a 40-inch waist and I weigh about, in reality, right? My pants are a 36-inch waist, but I'm like, I think they're just lying to me. I think I'm actually 40 inches. And which isn't huge, right? But I weigh 250 pounds. A lot of it's muscle. It didn't used to be muscle. I used to actually weigh about this much, and it wasn't muscle, and it was very noticeable. I had a big fat baby face, right? And my wife, of all people, says, I asked her, "Hey, do I look all right?" And she says, "You could lose some weight." And that hurt, but it was true. Okay, that hurt, but it was true. She put in some effort to make it diplomatic, right? When people put in some effort to make something diplomatic, you gotta not be mad at them. You can't be mad at them because they're trying. They're failing. Maybe it still hurt my feelings. Of course, it hurt my feelings because it's the fact, not what she said, that hurt. Like, is it what they said or the way they said it? I think it's for the part of Vivek. It was what he said, not the way he said it. Right? The way he said it thing, does that betray some sort of ill will? Right? In fact, maybe I'll go ahead and put him on screen here in a second. I don't know. I'm doing this live, so I don't want to mess with too much. Anyways, I will put the link in the description. You can read it for yourself. How about that? It works. Okay. YouTube magic. There didn't seem to be any vindictive nature in there. Maybe he could have been more diplomatic, but it's not people's job to make true messages palpable for you. Do you understand me there? It's not other people's job to make them palpable. It's their job to try. Okay, it's their job to try. We like triers. People who try show an intent of wanting to make you feel as good as you can while you hear some harsh truths. But I think the harsh truths just hurt people's feelings. Okay, and I've been thinking about this for over a week now, and I've been turning it and tossing it, and every time I really think about something, it was offensive to me, a lot of the stuff that people said in response to it. Like I didn't like it. Because it seemed to come from an area of malintent. It seems like people were angry and vicious and attacking his race and everything. Like, he's an American. I don't care where he's from. Like, are you an American? Then you get to have an opinion on America. Like, everyone, by the way, everybody can have an opinion on America. We'll take all comers, right? It's all right. That's because I think we're inherently a pretty humble people. Like, Americans will make fun of themselves before anything else. That's not the case of all countries. That's not the case of all Western countries. And that's not the case of all Americans. But I think most Americans are pretty chill. I live in the South. It's sweet tea and honey this, honey that. These people know how to make fun of themselves. Watch a Dolly Parton interview, and that's Boughton. Watch a Dolly Parton interview with Barbara Walters, that famous one. And that's pretty much the experience of talking to a Southern person. All right, they're very sweet people. I love them to death. And they've accepted me as one of them. And they're always humbled. They're always humble, which means they're always willing to change for the times. Like, they still hold on to their culture, of course. Like, they're like water, right? They'll fill whatever vessel you put them in. They'll conform to whatever vessel you put them in, but their essence, their nature is still the same. That humility allows you to soften up and fill where you are right now and adapt to situations. By the way, there are some times when you're supposed to eat a lot, right? Like, the reason why Southern diets are so calorie laden is because they used to do a ton of manual labor in the fields and they needed the energy. So they were all fit and they were just eating just tons of it, like a bucket of biscuits and gravy, just eat it all. I've been there. I've done heavy farm work where I don't have equipment. I'm doing it all by hand, just like they used to back in the day. And there is not enough food to satisfy a man who's been working for like 12 hours straight, like hard manual labor, digging holes. It takes like a day or so to recover the calories. It's amazing. But they don't do the manual labor anymore, right? So they got to adapt, right? Some of them didn't. Some of them stay fat. Trust me, there's a lot of fat people in the South. And you might be able to tell them so. The ones who stay fat are the ones who won't let you say something about them being fat, right? People who can face the mirror and say, like, yeah, I'm putting on some weight, they tend to fix it. So when my wife said, yeah, you could lose a little bit of weight, I didn't go on a crash diet. I didn't go on the internet and like figure out what the dude bros are doing this year. I just ate less. I made a small adjustment. And over the course of 6 months, I lost 30 pounds. It's not some heroic amount of weight, but it was very noticeable. And it was a healthy way of doing it. I didn't change my diet whatsoever. It was really easy too. It's kind of like budgeting. Like, when you don't know how to stick to a budget and then you're forced to stick to a budget, it's really hard for about 2 or 3 months. And then after you've done it for long enough, then you actually intuitively just know how much money you have and what's expensive, what isn't, and then you don't have to budget anymore. So for me, when I was losing weight, it was really hard for 2 or 3 months for me to know how much food I should eat. So I was counting calories. After that, I kind of knew what a reasonable portion was, which I didn't know before. Like I would eat a giant bowl of spaghetti, like the size of my head. Now I know it's like, oh no, and it's not about being full either. Like full is an emotion. Full is training. You have to know, not feel. In due bounds. Like you don't feel discipline, you know discipline. You know what I'm saying? It's a thinking thing. And you got to make sure your feelings don't get in the way of your thinking, right? So the humility thing, when people tell you how to improve yourself and how to live better and how to fix your problems, you got to make sure your feelings aren't getting in the way of you thinking, because that thinking is your path to discipline. When you see the image of where you want to, wow, voice cracking. If you see the image of where you want to be and what you want to do in life and how you wish to live, you think about that, then you will be able to have the discipline, right? Maybe sometimes people don't feel like there's any way out. They don't think, they have a feeling that it's hopeless, right? That they'll never lose the weight, they'll never get the money, they'll never get the girl, they'll never save their country, they'll never save their family. And despair is a feeling that gets in the way of discipline, because it begs you to say, what's the point, right? I like the idea of like a samurai fighting on a castle. He's there all by himself. Everyone else is dead. His master's dead. All of his subordinates are dead. His family's dead. All of his colleagues are dead. His brothers in arms are dead. But he's still going to fight, even though he knows it's hopeless, right? Because hopelessness is a feeling. It's not a knowing. You don't know the future necessarily, right? You'd be surprised. And luck is just preparedness meeting opportunity. And you don't know what the opportunities are going to be. So all you can do is just be prepared and hope, right? That hope is what keeps you going. And hope is a knowing thing. Hope actually isn't a feeling thing. You don't feel hope. You might feel hopeful, which is a little bit distinct, but hope is that there's an outcome that you want and you're not exactly sure how you're going to get there, but you're going to try your darndest. That's what hope is, okay? You're going to rob yourself of so much self-improvement if you do not have the humility to take advice. First off, that's the friendly advice is the softest way to get it. Can you take friendly advice? Like really harsh stuff? Do the facts cause you to have feelings, right? If they tell you a fact, are you going to say, well, it's the way you said it? No, it is what they said. What they said was maybe you need to lose weight. Maybe you need to work harder. Maybe you need to stay off the phone more, right? If you can deal with the fact delivered well, that's great. That's actually 90%. You're like 90% of the population there. Okay, better than that, right? You're 90th percentile, sorry. Second is advice delivered crudely or crassly. Okay, advice delivered crudely or crassly. This is not with malintent. All right, it's just someone bumbling. Can you take that, right? You can argue that Vivek, the tweet in the description, bumbled it. I would argue he did it quite eloquently, but people have disagreed with that, and that's fine. There's room for disagreement. But taking advice delivered crudely and inelegantly is an important skill for you to have. It's not their responsibility to make the message palpable. It's their responsibility to just try. Once they've signaled intent that they're trying, you got to forgive it. You got to let it go, or else you're only hurting yourself. All right, third, advice delivered with barbs in it, like poison. They actually are angry at you. They wish you ill, but there is a point there, right? He's out of line, but he's not wrong. Okay. I see this a lot, especially interracial stuff, and I'm not going to get into it, but often when there's a stereotype, right? Sometimes a stereotype is true, and people will make fun of it. In fact, ridicule is an important part of behavioral sort of recovery, behavioral regulation, sorry. Ridicule is an important part, and that's why comedy is so important, because comedy actually allows us a place to have a conversation and keep it light, right? Comedy for me has actually been a really good way for me to express to my wife things that might bother me, and for her to express things that bother her. We make jokes about it, okay? And I know, and the joke makes me laugh, but I know there's a little bit of truth. It's like, okay, honey, I'll eat a little bit less. Like, gee whiz, Alex, should we get a second fridge for all the food you bought? And I was like, okay, all right, I'll budget a little better. All right, I'm sorry, I was at Sam's Club and I didn't eat my pizza before I went shopping, so I shopped hungry, and now I went crazy and bought the whole store. I get it. Okay, we have a $300 grocery bill. My bad. Might be. I guess I got a lot of spinach dip to make because I bought 4 bags of spinach. Sorry. Yeah, a true story. Yeah, actually, true. Oh, that's true. Man, damn. I was trying to be ridiculous, but I was like, I actually have done that. Not 4 bags though. I did 2. It was 2 bags of like 5. It was like 5 pounds of spinach, fresh spinach, because I wanted to make spinach and artichoke dip. And I don't know. My eyes got bigger than my stomach. Anyways, being able to deal with ridicule, that's friendly ridicule, by the way. But when you put it into ridicule and a little bit of comedy, it makes it so that your own mood doesn't affect the message as much, right? Like I can have an angry rant, and because it's funny, my wife will listen and she thinks it's funny. She was hogging all the blankets or something like that, and I said, "You've got the edge of the blanket way over there," and I like point to the far end of the room, and I was genuinely upset because I was freezing cold and she had hogged all the blankets, but she couldn't help but laugh at my like over the top response and me like pointing to the other side of the room. You got the edge of the blanket all the way over there, and it's still an inside joke among the two of us, all the way over there. Anyways, okay, and now the final one that you can take. All right, so we went through advice given well, advice given clumsily, advice given with a barb of a little bit of poison there, a little bit of vitriol in with that advice. That includes a little bit of ridicule. Ridicule can kind of be all of the above, or any combination of the above. And now finally, this is just straight up insults. Okay. I was made fun of for being fat when I was a kid. So I was fat, and then I got tall, and then I got fat again. It's the cycle of life. Okay. I was a fat kid, and then I had a growth spurt, became 6 foot tall, and I became reasonably sized. Okay, I was reasonably sized. I wish I looked at pictures of myself back then. I'm like, dang, I'd have to work hard to get thin. And I always felt fat back then. And then I just got fat again, and then I learned how to finally diet properly. When I say diet, just don't eat so damn much. Really, that's the diet. Just don't eat so freaking much, you know? Be reasonable, man. Anyways, I would get insulted for being fat, and it would make me feel bad, and it was bullying, but they weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. They were out of line. They were awful. Like there's a wrong way to say the right thing. Okay. And that's what I like to say a lot. There's a wrong way to do the right thing. There's a wrong way to say the right thing. They were saying the right thing, that I had a weight problem. They did it the wrong way by like slapping my belly and just saying, going juggle, juggle, juggle at me in gym class and making like blah, blah, blah noises. I think my brother called me flubber a lot. Flub, which was, in hindsight, it was pretty funny. I know a lot of fat jokes now. I know like a lot of fat insults. If a fat person ever made me upset for some reason, I probably have a good arsenal of insults just because I received all of them. The thing is that didn't change my behavior. Okay, it just made me depressed. It made me despair. I fell to despair. I was a kid, so that's what you do. Like kids aren't gonna like actualize and go study karate or something and lose a bunch of weight. But now that I'm older, I can kind of laugh at people's insults. I think someone said I'm about to say the R word, I think, on YouTube. Someone shouted that I drive like a retard. It was in Washington, D.C., okay? And it's one of those roundabouts that's got like 2 different sets of lanes. Like it's like a little miniature round highway, and it's got exits that are at every position of the clock. There's no rhyme or reason to it. This thing was put up on top of a 200-year-old neighborhood. This thing was a mess. It had street lights. It had street lights in the middle of the roundabout, and I ran one of them. And someone said, "You drive like a retard." And my response to that was, "Yeah, I feel like one. I feel like I don't think I'm smart enough to drive in DC, or." It was such a mess, but I got the point, right? Like, hopefully, you guys will reach the level of security, like because the opposite of insecurity, obviously, is just security. I hope you guys get the level of security where you can take an insult, see there's a little kernel of truth in there. Like, you feel like, man, that really hurt my feelings. Like, damn. It's like, damn, that was mean. I will say that out loud, by the way, just as a compassionate thing to myself. Is like, man, people around here are real mean. And then have a laugh about it. Because it makes it them. It makes it on them. But it doesn't dismiss the truth that they conveyed in that insult. Is like, yes, I am driving like a retard. I drive really slow because I was driving really slow trying to figure out where I'm going. And then I would hit the brake, like gas and just jet because I didn't want to miss where I'm going. So everyone just saw me. I was a one-man shockwave traffic jam. I I can't fault him for being angry. It was so bad. I just take the metro now. I don't even drive in DC. I just take the metro. It's so much better. We'll see how it is on January 20th. Hey guys, thanks for listening to me ramble for about 20 minutes now, at the exact 20-minute mark. Please take humility. Do not stagnate. I want you to be your best self. I think you want you to be your best self. You want to live in a world of hope. Don't let your feelings get in the way of your vision. Don't let your feelings get in the way of your thoughts. Be the better self that you wish you had. Be the dad that you wish you had. Be the dad that you wish to be, right? That's a good model of like, hey, be the father, right? Even if you're just a kid, I was trying to be like my father. And that helped me a lot when I was a kid. Helped me a lot. I hope this advice helps you guys. Of course, like, comment, subscribe. I always got to remember to say it at the end of the videos. I feel like such a ostitute pay? Yeah. Sounds like a Aussie toupee, but I'm trying to use pig Latin. I feel like I'm a lady of the night trying to promote my channel, but you got to promote it, right? You got to remind people to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. I look forward to your comments. You guys are so nice in the comments, by the way. And I apologize for the tone and tenor. I hope that didn't convey any negative tone and tenor to my previous videos. I was a little bit shook by the H-1B visa thing because it was like, people are really angry, and I got caught up in it. So again, the feelings got in the way of my thoughts. It happens to everybody. It's a life progress thing. It's a feeling thing. It's an everyday thing, okay? So don't feel bad about slipping up. Anyways, see you guys later. Great new year. Hope, hope, hope. Boy.